So this is a question where I would normally advise that if you can plug in your own values, it would work for you. As I try and think about doing that here, where I would say, let's say that A equals 1, because I want to choose the simplest numbers possible, B equals 2. That means that Z would actually equal 1 squared plus 2 squared, which means that that would be 4, and then that would be 5. So we'd have 5, and then z would equal 5, and then here it would be 1 times 2, which means that y equals 2. And then I would plug in for each of these where when a is 1, b is 2, that I would get the same answer as if I were to multiply 4z plus 8y. You can see there's a bunch of multiplication that's going on here already. And that could take up a lot of time. So I really would recommend that you circle this, move on once you realize this is the only step that you feel I can confidently solve this problem. With that said, we would have 4 times 5 plus 8 times 2. And then you would have 20 plus 16. That equals 36. So the question is, when I plug in A as 1 and B as 2, that's where I'm getting these from, I need this to equal 36 because they want to know what is equivalent to 4 times z plus 8y. So 1 plus 4, that would give us 5 squared. That'd be 25, so that doesn't work. Our correct answer, which is B, we would see that it's 2 times 1, so that'd be 2, plus 2 times B, which would be 4, and then that would be squared. And then we would have 6, that'd be 36. So that actually does give us our correct answer. And if we were to try it for C and D, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. It'd be worth a shot though, because sometimes when we plug in our own values, the way these are set up, more than one could work. For the sake of time, let's say that they don't work, but if they do work, you'd have to pick a different set of numbers and start from scratch here, which you don't want to do. So let's approach this the way that the test probably wants us to, logically, because it allows us to be a lot quicker. They're telling us that a squared plus b squared equals z, and a times b equals y. What is it when you have 4z plus 8y? Well, this would be a lot easier of a question if they just asked us, what is z plus y? Because then what we know is like, well, if this is z and this is y, all we have to do is add them together. A squared plus b squared plus ab. Now, the thing is that they're saying 4 times each of these. Well, that's fine. Well, then let's just do that. It would be, if we want this to be 4z, we want both of these terms to be 4. So it would now be 4a squared plus 4b squared. And then this would be, to get this to 8y, we'd want to multiply both sides by 8. So that would be this. Now, as we look at this problem here, what we see is as we go ahead and combine our like terms, or not combine our like terms, but when we think about how we go from here to one of these problems, what we can think of is, well, if I FOIL these out, will it get me to the right answer? And it turns out that if you FOIL out B, that it will get you to the right answer. In regards to factoring, I wouldn't know if I want to necessarily factor out a 4 or anything like that, because really what I want to do is get these terms here. So yeah, really just FOILing out one of these until you get this answer here would do that for you. What I can recommend to get that done faster for you is when you're FOILing, you are what you're going to want to do is look at it as square the first, square the last, multiply for the middle, and double it fast. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's go with 2a plus 2. I'm going to write uppercase because it's just better. I know it's not good for cosines and SOHCAHTOA stuff, but it's just better for me to handwrite. So if I wanted to turn it to something like that, or when I'm, instead of like, because the alternative is what? We do this. We write it out and then we FOIL it out, and that could take us some time. But if we remember to square the first, which means it's now 4a squared, square the last, plus 4b squared, multiply for the middle, which would be 2 times 2, that's 4. A times b, that's ab, but double it fast, which means this now becomes 8. And now that I've done that, I've quickly gotten to something that resembles this. All I have to do is reorder this and this, which is fine because it's adding. Order doesn't matter. And we realize that we have the same answer.